Now that you do have the roster in place, you know, the pieces that you have, what's the direction moving forward?
30 games. We have 32 games, I believe. We have more work to do, but it allows us an opportunity to focus with this team on what it is that we want to do, which is compete at a high level, evidently have success in the playoffs, and compete for a championship. We understand that there's a lot of work to do, but it'll be fun. It'll be a challenge, and we're up to it.
James, in looking at obviously what's been reported between whether you guys and the Warriors and looking to, it's either entertain thoughts of moving Kevin or actually participating in those talks. Can you give us clarification on that?
Yeah, I don't. That's been my long-standing policy to not talk about rumor and speculation. I've always said what we do internally, we keep internally, and it always gets noisy when you're not winning. We're not winning, and so we'll just stay above the noise.
And just to follow that up, do you think whatever you want to call it, noise or whatever, will impact Kevin and moving forward in terms of, I know you guys want to, initially it was a long-term deal trying to move beyond this season with him?
The noise, Kevin's been around the noise his entire career. He's a pro. He's the best at it. And like I said, it gets noisy when you're not winning. And the simple fact is we haven't won enough, and if we're not winning enough, storylines pop up. But we're talking about basketball, and he's always shown, and he will continue to show, and I think this team will continue to show that despite the things outside of our walls, we'll focus on the task at hand and we'll focus on ball.
To your point about that, is that something that you feel the need to address or smooth over with Kevin just because those things on the outside can have an impact? Or is it one of those situations where you just kind of understand that he's been around the league for a while?
No, it's ongoing dialogue with the team. Look, when you get to the trade deadline, every team has these moments of frustration, these moments of uncertainty. And so you talk about that early in the season going into the preseason. You talk about that going into the trade deadline. And you talk about it going into the playoffs. It's an ongoing conversation. And it's not just something you respond to at like these types of pivotal moments. It's a daily conversation about how you continue to stay focused on the task at hand, which is playing basketball at a high level and winning basketball games.
When you look at the Jusuf Nurkic trade, was that becoming a potential problem in the locker room that you felt you guys needed to address, or was it a matter of flexibility, like you said? Because I know that you guys were high on the fit when you first acquired him.
Yeah, I mean, it was a combination of things, but I think for us, it was the opportunity to increase our flexibility and also get two players at positions of need for us. We've had, like we said, we've had struggles at the guard position, and when we actually traded Josh Okogie, we lost a perimeter wing, we lost a defender. I think that's something that Cody can provide for us. And we've had those moments where we've been using Brad as a backup ball handler, and we thought that Micic would give us an opportunity to give someone who's naturally at that position a crack at some minutes.
Hey, James. I know the big three has been together for a minute now. You know, there's been injuries and stuff like that, but they've had some time together. Why don't you think this big three thing has worked, I know, as well as you would want it to?
I think the injuries are a part of it. I also just think that we haven't performed well enough. We've had opportunities and we've built some momentum, but there just been I would say times and lapses in our consistency. It's tough to evaluate when you have so much time lost amongst the three of them combined, but we do see glimpses of success. And for right now, I said the last 32 games of the year, it gives us an opportunity to really focus on maximizing what we do with those guys and around those guys. And I'm confident that the end of the season, the goal that we're chasing, will help us crystallize and focus a little bit more on the details that I think will change. I don't want to say change our trajectory, but definitely push us put us in a better position.
What needs to happen these next 32 games and potentially the playoffs? Do they need to get to the second round, the first round, where you're comfortable, going with this group going forward?
Yeah, I don't project like what needs to be done in the postseason. We have to get there, and that's our focus. Get to the postseason, because once you get to the postseason, we'll be a different team, and it resets. At that point, you're taking it one game at a time, trying to win one series at a time. And so when we get to the postseason, we'll have a better idea of what our postseason realities are.
Hi, James. You mentioned the glimpses, and that's one of the things that's hard to figure out about this team. Just the Golden State game, you look great, and then a couple other games you don't. What is the frustration with Matt in the front office just with that inconsistency?
Well, I mean, some of it's internal, but you also have to give respect to the league. The league's extremely competitive. There's some really good teams, and just like we're trying to improve, our opponents are trying to improve. And night in and night out in the NBA, I think this is probably the most competitive season the NBA's had in a long time. You have nights like we have, a high night and a low night. But I think if you look at the parity in the league, you can see this across the NBA. They're good teams beating good teams, and there's some teams that people would consider bad teams that are really good, just haven't turned the corner yet. So I think the competitive balance in this league is something that people don't really give enough credit to the teams that are in this league, just how good they are and how good these young players are.
Hey, James, how are you?
Hey, Bear.
Did you guys ever get to a point where you asked Beal if he'd waive his no-trade clause?
We didn't have any discussions with Brad about his no trade clause. That's one thing I can say for sure, because that's a topic that has been a big topic of discussion.
And secondly, does it concern you that two players on the team publicly complained that they don't have any communications with the coach?
Listen, I said the noise and speculation is something that comes with not winning. The noise and speculation is it happens when you're not winning. But I can tell you for sure that the players have been communicated to by their coaches and everyone internally. But that's what happens when you're frustrated, and that frustration is a result of not winning.
To your point on the frustration with like all the speculation and just like the lack of winning, is that something that is just simply fixed by winning, or can other things sort of help mend that frustration?
No, winning is winning. It's a frustration of not meeting the expectations, and anything short of meeting the expectations doesn't alleviate your frustration. It really just shifts it to something different. We have guys that want to win. We have guys that expect to win, and we have guys that compete. And whenever you're not getting those results on the court, because the most important thing is winning basketball games. Anything short of that just leaves you frustrated.
There was a report that Kevin was frustrated about his name being out there. Is that something specifically where you believe there can be long-term effects there that you have to tidy up, or is it a situation where you think he's been around long enough where it's been this type of deal for him?
I mean, I would be frustrated too if we weren't winning, and a lot of the blame, a lot of the noise was around me. I know Kevin understands that. He's human. He's just like everyone else, but he's a hooper and he's a pro and he's been above it his entire career, and so he knows where we stand. He's pivotal for us. He's one of our leaders. He's our all-star, and we need him to continue to be who he is and who he's always been, and he'll help us turn it around.